to Let's Talk today. This is the 6th episode of the podcast. I'm the host, James Euston, and today we'll be talking with Mrs. Knueven. Mrs. Knueven is an ELA teacher at Blue Valley High School. She's married and has 2 kids. She's been to many different countries and doesn't like idle hands. Go ahead and give us a little introduce yourself.
Okay.
How'd you basically get here today?
I walked next door. I'm next door to Reeves' room. I'm kidding. To BV.
Yeah, so
Okay.
kind of where'd you grow up?
Yes,
and then
gotcha.
Where'd you go to school?
All right, so I grew up in. We moved around a lot when I was young. Primarily Des Moines is where I grew up, and then I got my undergrad from the University of Northern Iowa, and then went abroad for my first teaching job to Ireland, and then when I came back to the States, I came back to BV and started at Northwest, was there for 6-7 years, and then came over to High, and then I've been here since. So my only teaching has been in BV district in the States.
Oh, that's awesome. So I did a quick Google search on you, and
gosh,
compared to the rest, I did find some pictures, but not too much on you. So you had a small digital footprint. So
That's good. Okay,
do you
I was
pride
a little
yourself
worried
in
about that.
or-
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I didn't find much, but yeah, I found that you went to Hoover High School in Des Moines, Iowa, so I assume you grew up there primarily.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you went to University of Northern Iowa,
Got
and
it.
then you got a graduate degree at Baker.
Got it. Yes, down here. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I saw a picture of you, your husband, your kids.
Yes, the babes.
And then I
Yeah.
did see some funny. It looked like a reunion picture, but I couldn't tell. It was linked to.
Maybe.
It was linked to this like class website where I got to see where you went to school. Got your.
Oh, probably would have been from like a class reunion or
it
something.
looked
Yeah,
like
that
it.
makes sense.
You had a party hat on and stuff.
Oh,
so
probably
it
then.
looked like a
Yes.
celebration.
We take ourselves very seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the actual interview part here. Let's kind of talk about. So did you get your graduate degree at Baker while you were teaching here? Like
Yes.
you saw online
Yeah.
and
So I
those things?
started here, and then like most of us here, most of your teachers have masters. We have a very educated populace here. Yeah.
Most teachers that I've interviewed, they seem to have graduate degrees.
Yeah.
So that's
We're pretty
impressive.
lucky.
So let's kind of work from the chain of your life. So
Okay.
you lived in Iowa. How did you did you start traveling in high school or in college, or was it post college? That's when you went to?
So we first 18 years of my life, we went on one 4-day vacation to Colorado. So free and reduced price lunch kiddo. So no traveling ever. I always wanted to. And then in college, spring breaks, left for the first time out of the country, went to Mexico, did the whole stereotypical spring break in Mexico for one of my college things. And then I just kind of got hit with the bug. And then my University of Northern Iowa is who hooked me up with the Dublin teaching job after my undergrad. And so that's what started the exodus each summer.
Was that uncomfortable for you? Were you kind of like,
Because I moved around a lot when I was young, and so even now I get really antsy now that we haven't been able to leave the country, for a few years and everything. And so for me, I like feeling a little uncomfortable and outside of my zone, and I love going places where I don't speak the language and everything's brand new, and so I love that.
So in Dublin, was it a high school, like middle school?
Their middle school and high schools are connected.
Really?
So I actually taught 6th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade.
That is weird.
English. Yeah. So like little 11-year-old babies with like 18-year-old, like almost adults, So it was kind of interesting.
Okay. So did you teach ELA, I assume?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I mean, in Ireland, they primarily speak like some sort of English.
Oh, it's English for sure. Yeah.
That's cool. What was your favorite part about like Ireland? I'm from technically I'm like at least 70% Irish.
There you go. You have to go.
I have to go.
You have to go.
Many of my
It's
relatives
your people.
have been, but
you need to go find the area where your family is from. Actually, it shouldn't be hard if you do like the DNA.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard. I know where the Italian side is.
Okay.
But I don't know where my Ireland side is from.
You gotta go
somewhere around there.
Yeah, do it. And everybody speaks English. If you want like a really nice transition to Europe, England and Ireland are perfect. So, could say your question.
No, yeah. What was your favorite part about Ireland?
Probably 2 parts. So my family, so I'm 95% Irish-Scottish, and so for me going back and even like touring the Titanic sites and seeing my family's name, on the survivor list of the Titanic and things like that were really, really awesome for me. But also just to go live somewhere new was probably my favorite. And like I said, what an easy transition because everybody already spoke English. And so to go live there was pretty basic. And
Yeah.
so being somewhere new while still having the familiarity of a language was a great little segue.
Okay. What was your kind of plan going out of college? Did you always think you were going to teach in Ireland, or was that just like just a temporary thing, or what was kind of the plan going out?
Well, I knew I had to come back because I got married before I left. So my husband stayed here in the States. So I had to come back eventually. He did not want to move there, which is such a bummer. But I get it. So came back here, and I knew I didn't want to go back to Des Moines. Nothing wrong with Des Moines, but I just wanted something a little bit bigger, but still Midwest feel. And I had actually heard about Blue Valley while I was at Northern Iowa.
Wow.
And so the reason I went to Northwest was because we had actually sent a student teacher to Northwest. And so Northern Iowa was like, hey, BV's a really great school district, did some research, and then of course, we're awesome. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So I was actually going to ask you, how did your husband feel about you? Like, just how long were you in Dublin?
Leaving him alone so much?
Yeah.
I've been away for years total when you add up my time away. Since I've had my kids, I can't, leave for 2-3 months at a time, or go teach, abroad for a whole semester. So most of the longer spurts of me working abroad have been pre-kids, but he's been really good with it because he knows it just makes my heart happy. And he's an only child, so he's actually like cool with, like, it's kind of his thing. Like, he's totally fine going out to eat by himself and doing all that. So we like really pair well together.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the other traveling, because I know you've been multiple other places. What, like, in Ireland on like weekends, I know it's like pretty common for people to like take trains just to like different countries. So do you know how many total countries you've ever been to?
So I was trying to add it up. I know it's over a dozen. I'm hoping to finally add a few more this summer. We're hoping we can go back over to Europe and hit a few new places. And so I think it was like 13, 14, 15, around in there.
So on weekends, did you have your favorite country that you'd go to, or favorite spot?
I was pretty limited because I was working, so I couldn't even do 3-day weekends or anything like that. And so because Ireland's not connected, the only place we went would be around Ireland and then up to Northern Ireland while I lived there. And so all of my other European trips and work was actually a separate venture. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So overseas, what did you learn the most about? Probably, like, obviously there's different culture, and like, I don't even know.
Everywhere was so different.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's like over there. So I've asked like everyone that's traveled overseas, what is like the best thing you learned over there, I guess?
Every continent had something new. And so, I was in a remote village in Ghana. We had 2 houses that, even had electricity. Where I lived there. And so there, I think it was really, my lesson there was to be so thankful for what we have here. We actually have classrooms. We were meeting, our kindergartners were meeting under a tree. And so if it rained, we couldn't have class until we asked a local church if we could just use their structure while the new school was being built with volunteer funds. Sri Lanka, we got to live in the national park every day and work with wild elephants, and then on the weekends work with rescued elephants from logging, who had been abused in logging facilities. Ecuador, I got to be a student myself again. I got to be a Spanish student, and so that was interesting. Always learning. I am not fluent, but I'm working, and so appreciation of languages for sure. And then conservation work in Galapagos. I would say on that one, I already knew this before I had gone there, but making sure that we take care of our planet, and it sounds so cliche, but I saw the direct result of how we are changing places that are unique, and so I think that was my lesson I learned from there.
Mentioning those 2, conservation and the wild elephants, let's talk a little bit about elephants. How did you get yourself into that job? And tell us a little bit about what you did.
Super random, because obviously I'm not a biologist. I'm just a super big nerd, and so my favorite, I love elephants and I love turtles, and I was going back and forth between doing turtle research in Greece through the organization that I worked with for a couple of my travels, and going to Sri Lanka, and timing-wise it worked out better for me to spend a few weeks in Sri Lanka, and I'm actually really glad I did. It was amazing, and what an experience to live with the Singhalese people and live in a national park and do wild elephant research. And so my interest there was truly just that I enjoyed the animals and I wanted to learn more about them while still helping.
Right. So what kind of research were you doing while you were there? And I'll show the picture of you or the place where you kind of the tree hut,
which was where we spent most of our days. I just had a Fresh Prince song in my head there. All right. So primarily what we did is we were up in a treehouse with a clipboard and a sheet of paper, and we by the time I left, I actually got to know some of the elephants by number, by their markings. So I was kind of proud of myself with that. But we were watching them go back and forth to the watering hole, and they were crossing a road. And some of them had limps. They were, unfortunately, they had attacked people and farmlands, of course, trying to get food. And then the people had shot them and were setting up homemade bombs around their farmland as well. And so we were tracking their daily migratory patterns to help with the village that lived within the national park to avoid human-elephant conflict and to help with that. And then about a year and a half after I left, they actually got enough funding to start a bus system that would take them from the gate to their village. And so that actually has helped quite a bit in the last few years. And then we also did work with, it sounds so simple, but elephants don't like oranges. And so we even on days where we wanted a break from the tree hut, we got to go and measure orange trees and see how tall they were getting, see what bugs were infested on them, because they act as a natural barrier from the farmland. So if there's a row of orange trees, the elephants will stay away, and then the people actually can have oranges to sell at market. So win-win.
Wow, that's cool. So then was the conservation job like after that, or was that?
I want to, oh gosh, see, all this blends in my head. I think Galapagos was before, Galapagos conservation work was before wild elephant in Sri Lanka.
So how'd you get into that? Was that just want to do something new?
A random thing. I had gone to the Spanish university first, and Galapagos actually belongs to Ecuador. A lot of people don't know that. Oh, wow. And so then I kind of got hooked in Ecuador because people would talk about going, and people at the university were like, oh, you haven't visited? And I was like, no, I haven't visited. And then I realized that I could go live in the jungle and help. Primarily, we just had machetes and we were chopping down non-indigenous plants. And then on the weekends, we got to go to the beach and have fun and swim with turtles and seals. And so that was my, little started here. And then I ended up over here for a few weeks. So
how long were you in the Galapagos doing?
So Galapagos was 7-8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you go through classes to understand what you had to do there, or was it just kind of, okay, you're here now with this person?
Orientation period, which is a joke, because then they just throw you in there and they're like, hey, white people, just go, right? And so you just try to fit in as much as you can. And it was nice because I had just left the Spanish university recently, and so I was good with getting around.
Cool.
Yeah.
So again, was learning Spanish just something that was just random that you just kind of
wanted to do it. Yeah, I think we should all learn more than one language. Right. And so we just went to Mexico over break to go visit one of my friends, and we attended her wedding. She lives in Mexico City, and I was actually able to get around using the Spanish that I knew, and I only had a couple of times where I needed the person to slow down, or maybe I had to look up a word, but that was awesome.
That's awesome. So timeline, you taught in Dublin.
Yeah.
You went to Spanish University in Ecuador.
So I think Ghana first, teaching there.
Okay.
Ecuador, Galapagos, Sri Lanka.
Okay. And that was
for work, yeah.
Right. And that was that all in kind of, was that different periods of time that you went back from States to there?
Yes, okay, yes. So we have the luxury of having 2 months, and we can work remotely. As long as I have internet access, I can still do my work here that we need to do in the summer and be away, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you're kind of the first teacher that has the privilege to talk about Mr. Bacon leaving.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
What's kind of the vibe around the teaching community with him leaving?
There were a lot of tears when we heard the news, and it's been the last few years have been hard on teachers and on students, and this sounds, again, a little cliche, but he is BV. He is why so many of us are here and why so many of us have stayed. And you guys have probably heard that a lot of people are leaving the teaching profession and moving on to other things, or maybe just retiring early. And I know that there are teachers who have stayed simply because of Mr. Bacon.
Yeah.
And so these next few years is going to be interesting, and we're going to really, truly have to work hard, the staff, because we're the ones that are here year after year, to keep our family together and to keep the environment that he has set up here.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. What do you think like the future of Blue Valley looks like?
Yeah. I hope it doesn't change much. Like I said, there is a reason that we are here, and there's a reason that your teachers have stayed here, and it's the kids, and it's the community, it's our colleagues, and it's our admin. And your principal is the one that sets that up and sets up that relationship from the top down. It's that pyramid structure. And so your principal sets the tone for everyone and everything. And so I hope that continues. Whoever fills his spot has some huge shoes to fill.
Yes. Do you think Mr. Bacon's like done with everything, or do you think
he's
he's
so? He's
on?
too awesome to.
That's what I'm
right.
thinking.
I mean, there's no way he's done with everything.
My mom was like, he's not done. Like he has more years in him. I think I think he's moving on to something else. What that is, I don't know. Yeah. He shared with us in Tiger Pride that if he wasn't a principal, he wanted to be a fishing tour guide. I don't think that's where he's going, but he was like, dream job of mine, fishing tour guide. And I was like, you don't seem like that kind of a person, but he was like, I went on a fishing tour, and
but he could.
The guy had the best job on the planet. He just gets to sit there and teach people how to fish, and he gets fish.
If you're retired, I feel like then you can go do the fun, right? Yeah. You just do it because you love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about the world. You just mentioned what I was going to talk about, that a lot of teachers are leaving the profession and kind of stepping away, either early retirement or just going to do other things. Where do you think the school system is kind of lacking in providing that support for teachers right now?
I don't even know if it would be BV specifically.
Right.
I think this is much larger.
Board,
I mean, this is not a BV
it's not.
issue by any means, and honestly, in many ways, we have things much better here than in some other districts by far. I really do think quite a bit of it has to do with the larger picture of respect for the profession as a whole. And we even just mentioned that so many of us have our master's degree and then plus 60, right? Like we are maxed out with all of the education, and we're still continuing to take courses. And so I think we have some people who are in control of things in politics, and some of our decision makers who have never stepped foot in a classroom, who don't talk to the people who are here every day with you guys, and even kids who aren't talking to kids who are making decisions, who are not the most aware of what's going on and how our kids are changing. And I think that goes kind of hand in hand with that lack of respect and support. So honestly, I think that that's probably the biggest thing, is to trust as teachers, trust that we are doing what's best for you guys, and that we are changing with how you guys are changing, and how learning is different than when I just started 15 years ago. I mean, we all have laptops now, and everything's online now, and you guys have access to so much more than our kids just a decade ago did. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what do you think, what's the biggest difference in the classroom right now, and just like school in general, that is different from when you started teaching? And like, what do you think is a big challenge for students now than it might have been 15 years ago?
Well, technology, obviously. I mean, 15 years ago, we didn't have any. I mean, I think I had 3 or 4 of the desktops in the back of my room, right? And so everything was still handwritten for the most part. You wouldn't even remember, maybe middle school, the cows that they had, those like portable carts.
Oh, with the
laptop. Yes, right?
Yeah, I remember those.
And so we had those back in the day, and we had to reserve them. And if somebody else had them, then your kids couldn't type up papers that day, right? And then for kids, I think this is certainly COVID specific, but we are seeing mental health issues at the forefront. And again, this is why we need to talk to teachers, because we're here with you guys, right, in the trenches. And so working with mental health issues coming out of this pandemic that we're still in, using technology to help us, to help ease some of that. Working with new schedules every couple of years is also an adjustment. Right? So I think resiliency and flexibility.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that you said that they need to be talking to teachers, because arguably you spend more time with us than like I do with my parents. Like,
when you think about that, it's true.
And I think, you guys have really you're the on the ground work of like what's going on in the generation, especially Gen Z. And I think that's needs to be brought to the attention. As a student, how I've been asking every teacher this, how can I support the teaching community more?
I don't know. So that's interesting, because again, usually it's us, right?
Right.
We are truly together in this. Keeping communication open. I just read a bunch of emails from, I had like 4 or 5 emails from my kids who had turned in their work that they missed from their Socratic because they were at the Auschwitz exhibit. And they actually on their own commented about the exhibit. And I thought that was awesome that they were willing to share. So open communication always. Let us know if we can help you guys. So like you said, we're here more with you guys, but when we're only together, for an hour and 20-minute period and there's 30 of you in a room, we don't always get that one-on-one time with you guys. And so if you guys need something, or if we need to be aware of something that's going on with you, let us know so that we can help you. We didn't get into this for the fame and money, right? We got into this because all of us really truly cares about what we do and we think it's important. And so we are here for you guys 100%. And so help us help you.
Across the board, I think every time I ask a teacher that, they're just like, we got into this profession because we like teenagers and we like talking to teenagers. And so I think students I need to do a better job of just going in, just honestly asking them how their day is. I think a lot of students have kind of depersonalized like teachers to the fact of like, you're just the person that gave me the grade at the end of the day. And like, I don't think we think that you sleep here, and like
this
is just
right?
like where you live.
When you see him at the grocery store.
Right, and so I think just across the board, we can just be so much better about being there for teachers in the aspect that like they're a person and like we're here to communicate together. And I think
we're a team.
That part has been kind of missed, especially with COVID, having to go online for that whole year. I think tough. We really saw where that happened, because I missed a lot of my teachers. I was like, oh wait, you were actually kind of a friend, and like this feels different. So that's really cool. Cool. Well, we'll kind of move to the outro. We're going to do our rapid fire section, my favorite section. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you're just going to respond quick.
Cool, got it.
Okay. What's your favorite candy?
Twix.
Okay. Favorite meal of the day?
Breakfast.
Okay. Favorite brand of clothing?
Nike for workout, J. Crew, work stuff.
Okay. Where do you shop for groceries?
Price Chopper.
Who does the shopping?
Oh, not me.
Favorite meal to cook?
I don't.
Okay. What's your favorite meal that your husband cooks?
He's amazing. I do more of the cleaning, he does the cooking. This works out well. I'm a vegetarian and he eats meat, so we kind of do like half and half meal. Crap. God, I love my starches, mashed potatoes, pastas, things like that.
Okay. Favorite country you've been to?
Oh God, where would I move tomorrow? I would move back to Ireland and live there with my kids if I could.
Okay. Weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Oh God. I don't know if I have an answer for this one. I don't think I have an answer. Okay. I can't think of anything.
Okay, pickles. Some people don't like pickles. That's weird food.
I don't know. Sure, pickles.
Biggest pet peeve?
Oh, this is so weird. When people crack their knuckles, it makes me cringe. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. It makes me cringe.
Can't do it. Don't crack your knuckles if you're in a class.
Can't do it.
All right, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Let's Talk Today. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.